Change your expectation and you can change your outcome in work, health, and life. That's the simple but powerful message at the heart of The Expectation Effect by David Robson, a book that reveals how the beliefs we carry, often without questioning them, shape the results we get in every part of our lives. We're taught to work harder, be more productive, and push through stress. But what if the real shift doesn't start with effort? It starts with expectation. Imagine this. You're doing everything right. You show up early, stay late, hit your deadlines, and keep pushing through exhaustion. But deep down, you feel stuck. Like no matter how much you do, it's never enough. You assume that's just how life works. But what if that assumption is part of the problem? What if your expectations about success, stress, health, and even your identity are quietly shaping your reality? Welcome to Book Play, where we turn powerful books into powerful life changes. If this message speaks to you, be sure to like this video and subscribe so you never miss a life-changing lesson from the books that can transform your mindset. Today we'll follow Mateo, a young professional struggling to keep up, as he discovers the unexpected power of expectation and begins to rewrite the story of his life. Let's begin. Mateo is 28 years old. Ambitious, intelligent, and determined, he always believed hard work would get him where he wanted to be. After graduating from university, he landed a promising role at a fast-paced tech company, an environment buzzing with innovation, competition, and high expectations. At first, Mateo thrived. The excitement of new challenges, the satisfaction of meeting deadlines, the praise from supervisors, it all fueled him. He pushed himself harder, eager to prove his worth, climbing the ladder one project at a time. His expectation was clear: effort leads to success. But after a few years, the pace caught up with him. The pressure that once energized him started to weigh heavily on his shoulders. He found himself working longer hours, sacrificing weekends and pushing through exhaustion just to keep pace. His mornings began with a sinking feeling, a mix of dread and overwhelm, instead of motivation. The to-do list felt endless, emails piling up, meetings draining his focus. Internally, Mateo was struggling. The constant pressure made him doubt his abilities. He noticed how his confidence was shrinking under the weight of expectations, both from others and himself. While colleagues seemed to juggle stress with ease, Mateo felt like he was barely holding on. There was a voice inside, louder than he cared to admit. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I don't have what it takes. These thoughts left him feeling isolated, despite being surrounded by people every day. Mateo started trying everything to fix the problem. He read articles on productivity, tried different planners, experimented with mindfulness apps. He even started waking up earlier to get ahead. But no matter what he did, the tiredness lingered. The stress stayed. He kept expecting that one day it would all click, that suddenly he'd feel energized and in control again. But day after day, the cycle repeated. One evening, exhausted and restless, Mateo found himself scrolling through articles on his phone, looking for something, anything, that might help. Then he stumbled on a headline: The Expectation Effect, How Your Mindset Can Transform Your Life. At first he was skeptical. It sounded like just another self-help cliché promising quick fixes. But the word expectation caught his attention. It echoed the idea he'd been wrestling with for months. Curious, he clicked. As he read, Mateo discovered something surprising. The book explained how our expectations, what we believe will happen, don't just shape our mindset but also influence our brain's biology. Scientific studies showed that expecting certain outcomes can physically alter our performance, our stress levels, and even our health. For the first time, Mateo started to question his own expectations. Had he been unknowingly expecting burnout? Had he been accepting exhaustion as inevitable simply because he believed it was? He paused to reflect. Maybe the endless tiredness wasn't just about workload or lack of discipline. Maybe it was tied to what he expected from himself and from life. This new perspective sparked a flicker of hope, a tiny seed of possibility. Mateo didn't make any grand decisions that night. He didn't declare a new plan, but he felt something shift inside. A quiet curiosity replaced some of the frustration. Instead of preparing for failure, what if he tried expecting something better? He ordered the book, determined to explore this idea more deeply. With no certainty but a cautious optimism, he began to read. Slowly, Mateo started to notice subtle changes, a little more energy here, a slightly lighter mood there. More importantly, he began to see his challenges through a new lens. His struggles were still real, but the story he told himself about those struggles was starting to evolve. Mateo's journey had just begun. He was ready to learn how changing his expectations could open the door to a different reality, one where success wasn't a constant battle, but a possibility within reach. The Expectation Effect by David Robson is a compelling exploration of one of the most profound and yet overlooked forces shaping our lives, our expectations. This book takes us beyond the usual self-help advice and dives into the scientific research behind how what we expect about ourselves, others, and the world around us can literally shape our reality. Robson shows that our expectations are not just hopeful wishes or vague optimism. Instead, they have tangible effects on our brains and bodies. Through decades of studies in psychology, neuroscience, and medicine, he reveals how the mind's anticipation of certain outcomes can influence everything from our immune response to how we perform under pressure. The expectation effect is seen in the well-known placebo effect, where simply believing a treatment will work can trigger real physiological changes, but it goes far beyond placebos. It influences pain perception, stress levels, fatigue, and even our ability to learn and adapt. The book challenges a deeply held belief many of us share, that success, health, and happiness are purely the result of effort, external conditions, or talent. While those factors matter, Robson's research shows that what we expect plays a critical, sometimes decisive role. This means that our mindset, the way we frame our experiences and anticipate outcomes, can either limit us or empower us. For Mateo, this insight is a revelation. Up until now, he's been caught in a cycle of exhaustion and self-doubt, believing that burnout is inevitable if he wants to succeed. His expectations of constant struggle and stress have shaped his daily reality in a way that feels impossible to break. But the expectation effect offers a different perspective. What if he could shift those expectations and in doing so, reshape his experience? What makes this book so impactful is how it blends rigorous science with practical lessons. Robson doesn't just explain the theory. He shows how expectation-driven effects can be applied to real-world challenges, from improving physical health and mental well-being to enhancing productivity and leadership skills. Readers learn about fascinating case studies, athletes whose performance improves when they expect to do well, patients who heal faster when their mindset shifts, and leaders who influence their teams by setting positive expectations. It becomes clear that the expectation effect is not a magical trick, but a natural, measurable process that anyone can learn to harness. Throughout the book, Robson invites us to become more aware of our own expectations and how they shape our lives. He encourages us to question limiting beliefs and to cultivate expectations that open doors rather than close them. As we follow Mateo's journey through the lessons of the expectation effect, we'll see how he begins to challenge his own assumptions, reframe his struggles, and gradually take control of his mindset. His story becomes a powerful example of how changing expectations can unlock new possibilities, a message that resonates with anyone looking to grow personally or professionally. If you're ready to discover how your own expectations might be shaping your results and how you can transform them to achieve more, this summary will guide you step by step. Lesson number 1. Our expectations shape reality. our expectations do more than influence how we feel. They actively shape the reality we experience, both mentally and physically. This means the stories we tell ourselves about what will happen tomorrow, or how we think our day will unfold, can become self-fulfilling prophecies. They don't just affect our mood, they affect how our brain and body respond. Mateo had always believed that long hours, constant pressure, and inevitable burnout were just the price of ambition. For years, he pushed himself to the limit, expecting exhaustion and stress to be normal companions on his path to success. But as he started reading The Expectation Effect, he began to see things differently. He noticed a pattern. On days when he woke up expecting a difficult, draining day, his energy seemed to vanish more quickly. His mind was already bracing for struggle before the first task even appeared. This realization was unsettling, but also strangely hopeful. Mateo started to understand that his expectation of hardship might be shaping the very reality he experienced. It wasn't just the external pressures or his workload causing his burnout. His mindset, the expectation that things would be tough, was playing a powerful role. He remembered moments when he had felt more energized and capable, usually when he expected success or progress. Those days, his mindset lifted him rather than weighed him down. The difference was clear. Expectations had the power to shape his experience in profound ways. For Mateo, this was a turning point. The idea that expectations could shape not only how he felt, but how his body responded to stress felt both empowering and challenging. If his expectations were a force creating his reality, then by changing them, he could begin to change that reality itself. This lesson invites you to do the same. Start by becoming aware of your daily expectations. Each morning, take a quiet moment to ask yourself, what do I expect today? Whether it's about your workload, your energy, your relationships, or your own abilities, notice these expectations. How do they influence your feelings and behaviors? Are they helping you move forward or holding you back? Try journaling or simply reflecting on these expectations at the start of each day. Over time, you might begin to see patterns. How your expectations shape your mindset, your stress levels, and even your performance. Mateo began to understand that expectations are not just passive thoughts, they are active forces, powerful enough to influence his daily reality, his energy, and his sense of possibility. With this growing awareness, he began to ask himself a new question. If my expectations can shape my reality so deeply, what might happen if I choose to expect something extraordinary? This curiosity led him to explore the next powerful concept in the expectation effect, the science of belief itself, and how the placebo effect reveals the mind's remarkable power to influence the body. Lesson number 2. The placebo effect is real and powerful. One of the most fascinating discoveries in the expectation effect is how the placebo effect demonstrates the true power of belief. The placebo effect shows that simply expecting a treatment to work can trigger real biological changes in the body, even if the treatment itself has no active ingredients. This means our minds have the capacity to influence our health in ways science is still uncovering. Mateo was surprised by this when he first learned about it. He had always thought the placebo effect was just a curious anomaly in medicine, something interesting but irrelevant to his everyday struggles. But as he read more, he realized the placebo effect is a vivid example of how expectation directly affects the body. He thought back to a time when he was sick, but felt better after taking a vitamin pill, only later discovering it was just a sugar pill. His belief that the pill would help actually triggered his body's natural healing processes. This was no magic or wishful thinking. It was his brain releasing chemicals that reduced pain, lowered stress, and supported recovery. This realization shifted Mateo's perspective about his own potential for change. If his mind could influence his body's healing through belief alone, what other aspects of his health and performance could be improved by expectation? For viewers, this means understanding that belief is not just a passive hope, it is an active force. The way you expect your body or mind to respond can influence how they actually perform. This has profound implications not only for health but also for productivity, confidence, and resilience. A simple practice to start harnessing this power is to consciously remind yourself of your body's capacity to heal and perform. When facing a challenge, pause and affirm, "I expect to get stronger and more capable every day." Over time, this can help retrain your brain to support these positive expectations. Mateo began to see the placebo effect as a practical example of the larger truth in the book. Our expectations are not just mental attitudes, but real forces that can shape physical outcomes. With this new understanding, Mateo felt more hopeful about his own ability to shift his experience. If belief could trigger healing, then belief could also boost his focus, creativity, and energy. This opened the door for the next lesson: how expecting success beyond just healing can elevate performance and productivity in powerful ways. Lesson number 3. Expecting success enhances performance. Expecting success is not just a hopeful wish. It's a powerful mental state that prepares your brain and body to perform at their best. When you anticipate positive outcomes, your mind activates pathways that boost motivation, focus, and resilience. This isn't about ignoring challenges or pretending everything will be easy. Instead, it's about setting a mindset that helps you face obstacles with confidence and energy. Mateo began to notice this pattern in his own life. On some mornings, he would wake up feeling doubtful or anxious about a big presentation or a demanding project. Those days, he found himself distracted, stressed, and less effective. But on days when he consciously expected success, telling himself that he was prepared, capable, and ready, his entire experience shifted. His focus sharpened. He handled setbacks with greater calm. He even felt more energized throughout the day. This wasn't magic. It was a biological response. His brain, expecting good results, was primed to perform. One example Mateo remembered vividly was a particularly stressful deadline. Instead of succumbing to panic, he took a moment to visualize a positive outcome, seeing himself presenting clearly, receiving constructive feedback, and completing the project on time. This small shift helped him stay calm and organized, and ultimately, the project was a success. For you, this means you can practice expecting success in your daily life. Before starting a task or facing a challenge, pause for a moment and set a clear intention. You might say, "I expect to do well today. I am prepared and capable," or visualize a positive result. This practice helps prime your brain to focus, work efficiently, and remain resilient even when difficulties arise. It turns expectations into a self-fulfilling cycle of growth. Mateo found that expecting success wasn't about denying reality. It was about choosing where to put his energy. Instead of fueling worry and doubt, he learned to direct his thoughts toward possibility and strength. This lesson marked a crucial shift for him, from feeling overwhelmed by obstacles to feeling empowered to meet them. It laid the foundation for his continued transformation. With his growing confidence, Mateo was ready to explore the flip side, how negative expectations can hold us back by creating self-fulfilling prophecies that limit our potential. Lesson number 4. Negative expectations can create self-fulfilling prophecies. While positive expectations can propel us forward, negative expectations have the opposite power. They can quietly sabotage our efforts and hold us back. When we expect failure, rejection, or exhaustion, our minds and bodies often align to make those outcomes more likely. This is the essence of a self-fulfilling prophecy, where our beliefs influence reality in ways we might not realize. Mateo was all too familiar with this feeling. On days when he faced tight deadlines or overwhelming pressure, his thoughts would spiral into negative predictions. "I'm going to fail. I'm not good enough. This is too much for me." These thoughts didn't just increase his anxiety, they seemed to weigh on him physically, making his muscles tense and his heart race. He noticed how these expectations sapped his energy and focus, making it harder to complete tasks and increasing his sense of frustration. The negativity wasn't just in his head, it affected his body and behavior, turning small challenges into seemingly insurmountable obstacles. This painful awareness was a turning point. Mateo realized that by expecting the worst, he was often creating the very outcomes he feared. Negative expectations were not simply reflections of reality, they were active contributors to his struggles. This lesson invites you to observe your own expectations, especially when they turn negative. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't do this," or "I'll never succeed," pause and ask, are these expectations true? Are they helping me? Often, these thoughts are automatic and unexamined. To shift this pattern, Mateo learned to gently challenge negative expectations with more balanced, compassionate thoughts. Instead of, "I'm going to fail," he practiced saying, "I will do my best," and that is enough. This shift didn't erase challenges, but it reduced the mental and physical strain they caused. For listeners, this means cultivating awareness of your inner dialogue and recognizing the impact of negative expectations. Changing them isn't about forcing positivity, but about creating space for more realistic and hopeful perspectives. Mateo also learned to be kinder to himself, understanding that doubt and fear are natural, especially when facing difficulty. This self-compassion helped him move through negative expectations without becoming trapped by them. With this understanding, Mateo felt ready to take control of his mindset, intentionally reshaping his expectations to foster resilience and growth. He realized that changing expectations was not an overnight fix, but a practice that could transform his experience over time. This lesson set the stage for Mateo's next discovery: the practical steps and strategies for consciously changing and managing expectations to support his well-being and success. Lesson number 5: how to consciously change your expectations to transform your life. Understanding the power of expectations is just the beginning. The true transformation happens when we learn how to intentionally shape and change them to serve us better. This means moving from being passive recipients of whatever expectations arise to active creators of hopeful, empowering beliefs that guide our actions and experiences. For Mateo, this was the most challenging step. After years of feeling stuck in cycles of stress, doubt, and burnout, the idea of deliberately changing his expectations felt unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable. But the book showed him that it is possible and even natural to train the mind this way. He began by practicing small daily habits. Each morning, Mateo set a clear intention. Today, I expect progress. I expect to face challenges with calm and creativity. He paired this with mindful breathing exercises to ground himself in the present moment, reminding his brain to let go of old, limiting beliefs. Mateo also started reframing setbacks. Instead of seeing mistakes as proof of failure, he began viewing them as feedback, signs that he was learning and growing. This shift in expectation helped reduce his fear of failure and open space for curiosity and resilience. For you, this means embracing practices that help you notice and rewrite your expectations. Simple tools like journaling your daily intentions, visualization of positive outcomes, and self-compassionate affirmations can make a significant difference over time. Another powerful strategy Mateo found was sharing his expectations with others. By voicing his goals and positive outlook, he strengthened his commitment and invited support. This social dimension amplified his ability to maintain new, healthier expectations. Most importantly, Mateo learned to be patient. Changing expectations is a process, not an instant fix. There will be setbacks and moments of doubt. But by consistently choosing hopeful, empowering expectations, he gradually transformed his mindset and with it, his reality. This lesson taught Mateo, and can teach you, that the mind's ability to shape our experience is one of the most valuable tools for personal growth. When we consciously change our expectations, we unlock new levels of confidence, resilience, and possibility. With these practices, Mateo felt more in control of his journey. He was no longer defined by exhaustion or self-doubt, but guided by the expectations he chose to nurture. This newfound mindset paved the way for continued growth and fulfillment. Lesson number 6, using expectation to manage stress and burnout. Stress and burnout can feel like inevitable parts of a busy, ambitious life, especially for someone like Mateo. For years, he believed that exhaustion and overwhelm were simply the price to pay for success. He expected to feel drained by the end of each day, and that expectation became a heavy burden that shaped his reality. The expectation effect offers a different perspective. Our expectations around stress and burnout don't just reflect reality, they actively influence it. When we expect to be overwhelmed, our bodies and minds respond accordingly, making stress harder to manage and burnout more likely. Mateo began to see how this applied to his own experience. On days he expected stress and fatigue, his body tensed up, his thoughts raced, and his energy plummeted faster. But when he adjusted his expectations, telling himself that he could manage stress and maintain balance, he noticed a subtle but powerful change. He wasn't magically free from pressure, but his body's reaction softened, his mind stayed clearer, and he was able to take breaks without guilt. This shift allowed Mateo to conserve energy and respond more thoughtfully, rather than reacting with panic or exhaustion. For you, this means recognizing the stories you tell yourself about stress and burnout. Are you expecting overwhelm as the norm? Or can you start to expect moments of calm, resilience, and recovery even in the busiest times? A practical step is to incorporate brief, mindful pauses throughout your day. Before entering a stressful situation or task, take a moment to breathe deeply and set an intention. I expect to handle this with calm and focus. This simple ritual can help reset your nervous system and change how your body reacts to pressure. Mateo also found it helpful to reframe setbacks or fatigue not as failures, but as signals to adjust expectations and take care of himself. This compassionate approach reduced the cycle of exhaustion and guilt, paving the way for more sustainable energy. This lesson reveals how powerful our expectations are, not just for success or failure, but for managing the daily stresses that can either wear us down or build our resilience. With this new mindset, Mateo felt more equipped to face challenges without losing himself in stress, and with greater balance, he was ready to explore the final lesson, using expectation as a tool for sustainable growth and lasting transformation. Lesson number 7. Harnessing expectation for sustainable growth. Mateo's journey through the expectation effect taught him something profound. Expectations are more than just thoughts that come and go. They are powerful forces that shape the way we experience life, moment by moment and year by year. But the true power of expectations lies not only in quick wins or temporary motivation, it lies in their ability to fuel sustainable, long-term growth. For Mateo, this realization marked a major turning point. He understood that transforming his mindset wasn't about forcing himself to feel positive all the time or denying the reality of challenges. Instead, it was about cultivating a mindset that embraced growth as a continuous process, one filled with ups and downs, successes and failures, energy and exhaustion. This shift meant expecting growth itself, expecting that he would learn from every experience, become stronger through adversity, and evolve with patience and persistence. It wasn't about immediate results, but about the steady, meaningful progress that comes from staying committed over time. Mateo reflected on moments when he stumbled or felt overwhelmed. Instead of seeing these as signs of failure or personal weakness, he began to expect that these moments were natural parts of growth. This expectation gave him the freedom to move forward without harsh self-judgment or fear. For you, this lesson invites you to adopt a growth-focused expectation in your own life. It asks you to reframe your beliefs around challenge and change. Instead of expecting to always feel confident or energized, try expecting that growth is a journey with varied experiences, and that your potential is something that expands gradually. Practically, you might start your day with an intention such as, "I expect to grow through every challenge I face today." Or, when setbacks occur, remind yourself, "This is a step on my path to becoming stronger and wiser." These expectations don't eliminate difficulty, but they help you face it with resilience and openness. Mateo also learned that balancing high expectations with self-compassion was key to sustaining growth. Holding yourself to impossible standards only leads to burnout and frustration. Instead, sustainable growth requires kind, realistic expectations, accepting where you are while striving to improve. With this new mindset, Mateo felt empowered to approach his ambitions without fear of failure or exhaustion. He no longer saw setbacks as defeats, but as vital chapters in his story of growth. This gave him a deep sense of purpose and motivation that didn't rely on external validation or immediate success. This final lesson ties together everything Mateo has learned. Expectations influence our biology, emotions, and ultimately the reality we live. By consciously harnessing the power of expectation with intention and care, anyone can create lasting transformation in their mindset and their life. As Mateo's journey through the expectation effect shows us, transformation is not a destination, but a continuous process, a subtle, ongoing evolution shaped by the expectations we hold about ourselves and the world. Mateo's path was not easy or instantaneous. He moved from a place filled with exhaustion, self-doubt, and overwhelm to a space of resilience, hope, and renewed purpose. Along the way, he discovered a profound truth. By consciously choosing and reshaping his expectations, he could fundamentally change how he experienced life, opening doors to opportunities and strengths he had never imagined possible. This transformation is not unique to Mateo. It is a universal truth that applies to every one of us, regardless of where we are in our personal growth journey. Whether you are feeling stuck in old patterns, wrestling with uncertainty, or simply looking for ways to grow and thrive, it's important to remember that your mindset is not set in stone. Your thoughts, beliefs, and expectations are not fixed. They are living, breathing forces that evolve with your attention and intention. The first step is awareness. Take a quiet moment now to pause and reflect. What expectations are you carrying with you today? Are these beliefs serving you, guiding you toward growth, confidence, and fulfillment? Or are they holding you back, trapping you in fear, doubt, or frustration? What new, empowering expectations might you begin to hold? Expectations that support resilience, curiosity, and kindness toward yourself and others. It's vital to understand that expectations are not just abstract ideas floating in your mind. They have tangible effects on your body, your emotions, and your behavior. When you begin to intentionally shape your expectations, you create the foundation for new neural pathways, healthier habits, and a more confident, hopeful mindset. This is the power you hold, the ability to actively shape your experience and the life you want to live. If these ideas resonate deeply with you, if you feel inspired to continue exploring life-changing insights that can help transform your mindset and your life, then I warmly invite you to like this video and subscribe to Book Play. Our mission is to bring you clear, actionable lessons from the world's most impactful books, lessons designed not just to inform, but to inspire real, lasting change in your daily life. Transformation is rarely about giant leaps. It's about small, consistent steps. It's about the daily choices to see yourself and your future differently. The expectations you set today will shape the person you become tomorrow and the life you create. Thank you for sharing this time with us. It's a true honor to walk alongside you on your personal growth journey. We look forward to exploring many more inspiring stories and powerful lessons together. Remember this: the path to transformation begins with the expectations you hold and the decision you make to choose them with intention, courage, and compassion.